You can play PlayStation 2 game discs on your PS5. The Sony PlayStation 5 controllers have a really unique feature that most other controllers don't possess. They're able to store a small amount of memory. Because of this feature, if you plug your PS5 controller into your PS2 with a game inserted into it, you'll see the game disc along with a memory card, except that memory card is actually your PS5 controller. You need to make sure you don't already have a memory card inserted, or else it won't recognize the PS5 controller as a memory card. Highlight the disc and press X. It says enter, but what it will really do is begin a data transfer. What you're doing is essentially downloading the game onto the controller. Once finished, turn on your PS5 using the plugged-in PS5 controller. Go to the media section and it will recognize the game as a Blu-ray or movie disc. And as soon as you plug that controller out, turn off the PS2 or take the game disc out, the game data will be removed from the controller and you'll have to start over. It's a very unheard of feature of the PlayStation 5 and ultimately not very useful, but now you know. You can play Switch games on your Nintendo 64. Nintendo is known for its backwards compatibility in consoles like the DS and Wii, but in 1993, when the N64 was being created, the hardware designers came up with a slot that could hold a specific chip that would have come with the console. The only thing the chip did was show a screen for when the console couldn't read a game. The chip was eventually scrapped, but the slot wasn't. While creating the Switch, Yoshiaki Koizumi, overseer of development, realized the console wouldn't be backwards compatible with the previous console, the Wii U. He decided the cartridge would be the same size as the abandoned N64 chip, giving the N64 the ability to play Switch games. One thing you'll notice is the graphics are significantly worse, and the game won't save any progress. But also, I'm lying. Did you really believe me when I said, you can play DS games on the Wii? Have you ever noticed the GameCube memory card slots in your Wii? Well, as it turns out, those aren't just for the GameCube. The DS itself was not capable of storing memory, so instead, DS game data would save on cartridges themselves. DS games were kind of like their own memory cards. Put the DS game inside the first GameCube memory card slot. The Wii will recognize it as a GameCube game. Make sure there isn't already a game inside the Wii. Click start and now you're playing your DS game, and the Wii remote will act as the stylus. You will only be able to see the bottom screen of your game, and this only works on the Wii, so don't try putting a DS game in your actual GameCube. But also, I'm lying. You can send this video to your friends to fool them into thinking that you can play GameCube games on your PlayStation 2. When the PS2 was first being created, Sony and Nintendo came to a licensing agreement that would allow their next consoles to play each other's games. Originally, both the PS2 and GameCube game discs were supposed to be small, but Sony eventually opted out of that and decided the PS2 would have the larger 4.7-inch size so it could also play DVD movies. Nintendo was furious and the agreement was called off, but it was too late for Sony to change the PS2 software, and Nintendo didn't want to change anything about the GameCube games, so as a result, the PS2 could still play them. Sony, however, was not allowed to use this as a selling point for the PS2. But it didn't take long for users to discover the feature anyway. But also, I'm lying. This is totally fake, and you know what else is a lie? The idea that you can play N64 games on the Wii. You might think the Wii is only backwards compatible with the GameCube, but that's where you're wrong. If you take an N64 game and hold the bottom of it up to the disc slot while you turn on the Wii, you'll see that N64 game on your home menu. Make sure there isn't already a game inside. The reason this works is because when you turn on the Wii, you'll notice a blue light flash. What that's doing is it's scanning the outside of the disc slot, so it can read an N64 game that you lean against it. This feature was made for N64 games, and it works on any Wii model. But also, I'm lying. I honestly don't even know what that blue light is for. Maybe it does that so that... Did you know that you can play GameCube games on the 3DS? Check this out. First, take out any game that's inside the game slot. Then, turn on your 3DS and close it while it's on the home menu. Then take whatever game you want. I'll use Super Smash Bros. Melee. Now insert the game inside the space between the two screens without actually opening the DS. Wait until it makes this sound. It should take a few minutes, and then you can open your 3DS and take the game out. Even though you won't see anything there, hover over the game icon and press A. You're now playing the game. Be aware that it won't save, and once you turn off your system, you'll have to start over if you want to play it again. But also, I'm lying. Ha 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 ha. Yes, I win again. But also, you can play Wii games on the PS3. You might not know, oh, what's the point? You all know I'm lying. Why would this even work? I mean, even if it was real, what would the purpose be? What, the two consoles used similar software? Sony used a Wii to create the PS3, and that's kinda good. The PS3 was actually built from a Wii, both physically and the software from it was also modified, which is why it works. And yes, GameCube games also work on the PS3, but also, I'm lying. You believe me? Yes, sir, you believe the whole thing. Yes! Who would ever believe a guy who said something as stupid as,